Welcome to the WizCreate orientation. We're excited to have you. Let's get started.
My name is Awele. I'm the co-founder of WizKid Labs.
And my name is Amanda Harris. I'm VP of Operations and Development. I assist with our project management, timelines, and goals. But I also want to point out that I have zero background in app development. Up until 5 months ago, I had never built an app. And since then, I've made some really advanced things and interesting things through WizCreate. So if you are a brand new beginner and you have no idea what you're doing, don't worry. I was too. We're going to get you there with WizCreate. So before we jump into our presentation, I want to give a rundown of what we're going to be going over today. We're going to start with a platform showcase where Awele is going to take us through kind of a brief introduction to the company and our vision. And then we'll run through some apps to get you inspired and show you kind of like the wide variety of things that you can make with WizCreate. So from there, we're going to jump into some fundamentals, going over the basics of what you can use in app and off apps and different resources available to you. And we're going to take those fundamentals, apply them within a lesson that Awele is going to walk us through making an app, and we're going to do it in real time together. Feel free to follow along with your iPad. From there, we'll go over a couple updates of what to expect around the corner from WizCreate, and then go over some resources that are available to you and how to outreach to us for help if needed. So let's jump right in. Awele is going to take it away with what is WizCreate.
Yeah, we're really excited to have you on our platform. Our vision for WizCreate is to bring the world of app making, mobile app making, web app making, native app making to everyone. Traditionally, computer programming has been reserved for those who have the courage and the fortitude to dive in and try to understand the nitty-gritty of how a computer speaks, the arcane language, the coding, the syntax error. It's almost like trying to learn a whole different language. Why don't we make the computers learn how we speak? Why don't we make them understand us? That's what WizCreate is all about. WizCreate is a platform that makes it very easy for you in your natural language, in the natural way that you think, to be able to get the computer to do what you want it to do. We're excited to see what you will do with our platform. The goal of our platform is to unleash your creativity. So we'd love to see what you would produce with it. You're able to create apps that run natively on the iOS. You're able to share your apps as well over the web. We're going to share with you some of the apps that have been created with the platform and actually demonstrate some of them. But right before we do that, I just want to give a broad overview of a wide variety of some of these apps. The first app that you see there on the left is called B-Ball in Space. This was actually an app that was produced by, I believe, a 12-year-old at the time. And it's a game of basketball that involves quite a bit of physics. As a player, you have to select the angle, select the amount of power that you put in a ball and shoot and hope to make the basket. You can see quite a combination of skill set in this, not just the physics, but also the graphics and the sound effects in that. The next one is an app that's in the App Store. By the way, all these apps I'm talking about are in the Apple iOS Store right now, so you can go and download them. For the most part, I believe they're free. The second one is an app called Beatmaker that brings to you instruments from all over the world and allows you to put them in a sequence, synthesize a sequence and create a sequence of beats and musics and sounds that together form a nice music. It's actually a very popular app and it's seen hundreds and hundreds of downloads, if not thousands. The next one is one of several education apps that we've created using this platform. It's called Iconic Women, and it goes through a comprehensive description of women, iconic women through the ages. It brings this information to life in a wide variety of ways, including games and quizzes and video clips and nuggets of truth and puzzles, and very fascinating app. I encourage you to go download it from the App Store. There's several other education type apps that we've released. First on the left is Black History. The next one is Inventions. And the third one is Plagues. All very fascinating apps, chock full of information, all this information is brought to life, as I mentioned earlier, with games and quizzes and videos, and just a very fascinating way in which we brought this information to life. Would encourage you to go to the App Store, download, and check these apps out. Now, the Wiz Create platform not only creates native apps that run natively on the iOS, but it also has the ability of converting these apps into web apps, enabling you to share your apps very widely across all browsers. Here are several samples of apps that we've created that are running on the web. On the left is a sports roster, full of information, data-driven, interactive games, history, tips on players. Similarly, on the right as well, you'd see a matching game that has player information and game information and sound feedback as well. On the left, we have a property management site that showcases properties. We'll go into that in great detail, but you can see how this would be very helpful to property owners and property managers. On the right is one of the apps that were produced by our very own Amanda. It's a full-page recipe blog. There are several more of these apps that just not enough time to talk about, that cover a wide range of categories, including education, productivity, business, games, the span of the platforms, both HTML and native iOS that are published in the App Store. We encourage you to log onto the site and learn more about these apps. Right now, let's dive into some of these apps and give you a hands-on demo. The first app that we're going to dive into is the app named KenkoJet. It was actually created by a 9-year-old, and it is published in the Apple App Store. Let's dive right in and see what this app looks like. KenkoJet is also available from the demo section of Wiz Create app under the games category. When you select that, you can actually download and remix it, view how the code was put together. Or you can run it directly. The aim of the game is to hit the jet with a tomato cannon. So as you can see, there's quite a lot of things going on in this game. There's the visual elements, there's the sound, there's the music, sound effects with the cannon and the jet breaking up, and the background music. As I mentioned, all this was put together by a 9-year-old, and this is very easy to do with our platform. The next game that we'll be looking at is the memory matching game. It's also available in the App Store, and you can get a copy of it from the platform. And the goal is simple. Just match the tiles.
Nice.
Another game, which this is one of my favorite games, is Shuffle Cup. And the aim of the game, again, is to test your memory and your reflexes. So we'll get the game started. And the goal is to find, in this case, Brooklyn. Simple enough. Well, you get the gist. Catch Me If You Can is another really interesting one. It's a game. And this tests your reflexes. The goal is to try to hit the flying feet as many times as possible within the 60-second countdown. Two seconds. And there we go. 32 hits. This next one was put together by an 11-year-old. It's called Raging Roads, and it's a avoid getting hit car game. So once you press the start button, you've got a car that heads off on traffic right here. And then you try to avoid running into other cars in your lane. And believe me, it gets a lot tougher as you go up levels. And what happens if you don't get out of the lane fast enough? Well, let's see. There we go. The last native app I'm going to show right here is Whac-A-Mole. And this app is a multiplayer app that allows you to play with an opponent. First thing we'll do is we'll create a game, new game, and I will invite Amanda to join me on the web version of this game using the code 48642.
48. What'd you say?
642.
Okay. And I am not going to look at your screen while you hide your moles.
Very good. I'm going to hide my moles. Think of Battleship as you play this game. Okay, now we're waiting. Oh, we're ready. So now I'm going to try to find Amanda's moles. Oh, that was
Nice.
perfect shot. Okay. It looks like I'm actually winning at this, leading at this stage. Okay, another shot. Wow. Okay. There we go.
Ooh, we're tied.
Tied.
She takes the
wow.
lead. Oh no.
Even.
Oh no. Next one wins it. Yes.
There you go. So I'm going to hand the presentation back to Amanda, and perhaps Amanda, you can show what the web version looks like on
Sure.
this.
Okay, so here's my view of what I saw while playing with Awele. No moles were harmed in the making of this app. So as far as how I accessed this, Awele was able to push it from his native app to the cloud, which gave him a URL that took me directly to the web app on a web browser. So that's how I'm able to see exactly what he saw as we were joining the same game. So you can see I can click new game here. It gives me a new code that I can share out to somebody, and then we can just keep playing forever and ever. So let's take a look at a couple of web app examples that are out in the wild. This one in particular is a couple web app examples on a single website. This is a website run by an avid Stanford women's basketball sports fan. The first up, he's got a simple slider here at the top of the page showing off the 2021 roster of the women's basketball team. And then scrolling down, we've got an embed here from a Wiz Create web app and another one here. So clicking play game here, for instance, is going to load a matching game that is similar to what Awele played on the native app a second ago. But as you can see all the tiles at once and click from there, you can see the wrong answers that I'm getting over and over here. And then scrolling up, this Who's Who game is more of a multiple choice game where you're looking for the single player that matches the fact here in the question. Throughout gameplay of both of these, we've built in a leaderboard that keeps track of your scores in a row. And then if you beat the person in the 10th place on the leaderboard, you will get listed on the leaderboard. It pops up and asks you your username. You can see this has quite a few active players, especially the matching game. This Patricia person here has given everyone a run for their money. So these have been pretty popular. It's been cool to see actual players playing on this in a live environment of the web apps. So the next two we're going to look at, you've already had a little bit of a glimpse of in our earlier slides. I'm just going to adjust the browser size so that you can see a little bit more of it at once. This here is a web app meant to be embedded onto a website for someone who's looking to lease property. So within this, we have a breakdown of the buildings that have leases available and then the leasing listings themselves. Clicking a building would open up a map and some information about the building's area and location. And then clicking a listing itself brings you into listing information. And within that, we've got a couple things going on. We've got a photo slider at the top that you can also click into to view slightly larger and then drive through the photos that way with the captions below. Towards the bottom of the page, we've got information about each listing, its floor plan, which you can view larger, and an interactive map that you can either interact with at the surface level here, or you can open up in that same view that the photo slider and the floor map opened up into. There's also one more thing here that's a little bit of a work in progress. We're not totally done with it yet. If you click schedule a showing, there's a form here that the user could fill out and schedule a showing of the listing that they're interested in. So what's going to happen here is that when a user clicks submit, all the information that they've just typed in will be written to a data set that is on the back end of the app creators portal, which I can show you a little bit about in just a second. And then also when they click submit, it'll send an email notification to the app owner. So everything we've looked at so far has meant to be embedded onto a web page, whereas this next one could technically replace an entire website. It's a full page web app that is it's designed to look like a full web page. So all of this is data driven. You can explore the athletes a couple different ways. You can click someone in this top slider and it loads below. You can separate the players into different categories by clicking the categories above. And then within those categories, you can select a subcategory to view within that subcategory. You can also go player by player or simply shuffle. And then we've also got a tab of fame games. So this is going to look very familiar. This is exactly what was on the Stanford women's basketball page, but it's got different data plugged into it now. So this is just like the women's basketball one. It's going to operate the same way as what we just played through. I made it onto the high score leaderboard. In my screen share, you can't see it, but I want to show you what it looks like. I've just been asked to give my username. If I click OK, you can now see I am in second place on the leaderboard. So I want to show a little bit of the connection to the data-driven aspect that's driving this app. So let's say that Trisha Robinson here, she got married. She needs to add a hyphenated last name. I've got the data set here pulled up. That is what is driving the data behind this app. So if I go to Trisha Robinson's entry here and I click edit, I'm going to change it to Robinson Adams. This, you can see a glimpse of what is the rest of Trisha's data here, her facts and her bio and image and all of that, the image URL that's driving it. I click save and return, and then I go back to the web app and refresh it. See, it still says Trisha Robinson. I'm going to refresh now. Scroll over to Trisha. And now she is Robinson Adams. So you can see that live update happened just by simply editing the data set and clicking save. So everything here that you see is run through that data set, not only on this page, but also everything within fame games. This is pulling from the facts that match with the players. So pretty cool that one data set is driving all of these different apps within this page. So now that we've gone through a showcase of our platform and some app examples, Awele is going to take us into building one.
So a few basic concepts we need to grasp. First of all, apps. Apps are what you know, it's an app. Each app contains pages, so you can decide to put a single page or multiple pages. There's no limit to the number of pages. On a page, you get to put objects, and the platform has made available a wide range of different types of objects that you can put on pages: buttons, text, images, video, and so on. These objects have properties that you can configure, and these properties will determine how these objects look, whether a button is blue or round, or has a title, and so forth. There's also scripts. Scripts allow you to make these objects do things. They bring life to your game. So let's dive right in. So to create a new app, simply click on the new app button and give your app a title. Let's call it demo app. Your app is created instantly and it comes with one page. If you want to look at the properties of your app, you can tap on the settings button and you'll see the properties that the app has. The pages tab shows you the pages contained within the app, and the scripting tab, which we'll look at later on. In any case, to run your app, you just tap on the green run button and your app runs instantly. Notice that we haven't done anything to the app. So of course you're getting a blank screen. Now let's begin to configure some of these things. So to do that, we'll pull up the objects menu. Now we're gonna put a button object right in there. Let's put that to the side. Let's put a text object as well. We'll put that right up there. And let's put an image object. Now the third step is to configure the properties. So we'll start with a page, editing the properties of the page. To edit the properties of your page, tap anywhere on the page and it will pop up the editor. Now notice that the page has 3 properties in there. It's got the background color. We can choose any color and instantly our page changes to that color. We can choose a background video. And the app is chock full of resources that you can use: videos, sounds, images, and so forth. And here we have a beautiful background video. Or we can remove the video and we can just set a background image. And let's choose one from the library. There we go. So now we've configured the properties of our page and it's already looking a lot nicer. Let's do the same for the properties of the text object. So just like the page, tap anywhere on the text object and you'll see a list of the properties. It's got a lot more properties. So let's start with the text. So here we're just gonna say, hello there. Hello world. There we go. And then we're going to blow up the font a bit, make it a bold font, make the size a bit bigger, change the alignment to center, change the style to transparent, and we are going to change the text color to bright red. Looking a little bit nicer now. Next, let's edit some of the properties of the button. So, same thing. We'll tap on the button. We'll start with the title, and we'll put a new title here that says, "Click Me." Just like with the text subject, we can change the font, make it a bit bigger. We can configure the radius, make it more round. We can change the background color, give it a little bit more style. There's a wide range of things you can do on the button. You can actually even make it go upside down just by changing the angle. So here, we're going to make it go upside down, right there. And then let's do the same with the image object. So let's first of all choose an image. And again, you've got lots of resources from your library. And let's go to animated images and choose one of my favorites, Dancing Banana. And let's put him right up here. Okay, we've created an app. It came with a page. We've put a few objects on an app. We've configured some of the properties of the objects on the page. It's already looking a lot nicer. The last step is to add a little bit of scripting. And just as the first steps were easy, adding scripting is also very easy. So let's add some scripting to the button. So once again, we tap on the button, we'll pull up the editor, and we go to the scripting panel. Right in there, you'd notice what we call a trigger when button is touched. Inside this trigger, this is where you get to put all the things that you want to happen when you touch the button. For now, we're just going to put two simple scripts, one to make a sound or a noise and another one to do some animation. So when you click the plus sign, you'll see a wide range of script categories that cover animation, navigation, sounds, flow, and so forth. What we want is just a simple script that plays a sound. So we'll go under the sounds category and we choose the play sound script. And just like with your objects, you can configure what this script does. First, you choose a sound, and we'll choose from the library. And let's choose a people sound. Let's go with a scream. And then we want to do a little bit of animation. So let's go to the animation category. And we'll just do a set position and size of our image object. So there you get to choose the object. And here you get to choose what the position and size you want, what position and size you'd like your image object to be. So we're going to set it to the corner of the screen right in there. Notice that whenever you pop up on an editor, you're going to have a glossary button in there. It's your online help that is context sensitive. So in this case, it's going to tell you all about the button. It's going to tell you about the button object and its properties. So feel free to consult with it at any point in time. So time to run the app. Once again, you go click on the run button. You click the button, and there you go. You hear the sound, and you see the animation. When you're done building your app, make it as simple as complex as you want. You can share this app very easily, and we're going to show that right here. In fact, I'm going to push it to the cloud, have it converted to an HTML web app, and share that with Amanda. So here, we click on the share button. We'll click upload to cloud. When you sign up for cloud account, you actually get a place where you can store all your converted web apps. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to upload that, and the upload and conversion was successful. So I'm going to hand over to Amanda, who will show us what this app looks like running off of a web browser.
So I'm at this sign in screen for the user portal. You can see the URL here. I'm going to click sign in, and that's going to take me directly to my apps. And you can see here the demo app that Awele just created. So this is your hub to control a couple things about the apps, as well as to get the things that you need to share it. First, jumping straight into the sharing aspect, using this link here, if I were to click this, it opens directly into its own URL, just like the walkthroughs that we did earlier with the property app and the Hall of Fame app and things like that. This is on its own URL that I can share this, and anybody across any browser or device can access this exact app here with that URL. You can see if I click me, then that poor banana gets tortured and he moves across the screen. So that's the URL version of this app. When we were looking through the examples earlier, for instance, the Stanford women's basketball page, this embed here, this is embedded using an embed code like what you see here. So you can simply click into that and select it and copy and paste it and plop it into any website so that anybody can access it across any browser or device on the web. There's a couple other things within this My Apps hub. I can change the name of the app here, just simply typing in there. I can also add a description or keywords. You can also input your Google Analytics code so that you can monitor the views and interaction and traffic with your apps that way as well. A couple of things within the app as far as things that I can toggle and change. The viewport here, what that's referring to is if I make my browser larger here, I can't see the whole app at once, but I can scroll it. And so if I didn't want that to be the case, which is something that you may want in some cases, if I wanted to have control over that to not be able to be scrollable, I could simply go in this drop down here, select fixed, and then if I go back into its tab and widen it and I refresh, those changes take effect and you can see I can't scroll anymore. This is all I can see of this app. So that's useful in some cases if you needed to like crop an embed or whatever the case may be. That's an option that you have. I'm going to change that back to scrollable. So there's a couple more resources available for you. Font scaling isn't something you should really need, but it's there if you needed it. Also within options you have is aspect ratio. So this is something to keep in mind when you're building your app from the get-go. What do you want your output to be? So for instance, the default is 4:3 landscape. Another popular one is 3:4 portrait. So if I change that to 3:4 portrait and I go over into the tab where we have this open and I refresh, you can see things are a slightly different shape than they were before, but the app itself is taller. So I've just adjusted my browser so you can see that. If I go back into its properties and select landscape again, I'm going to refresh so you can see the difference in real time there. So you can see the height changes drastically. You also have options to adjust to something much taller, the 9:16 portrait or 16:9 landscape. These give you options if you're trying to achieve something like a banner or something like that for the top of a web page, or a really long web page replacement, or free form. You have lots of options with that one as well. So that's something you can play around with, but it is useful to be building with that end goal in mind so that you make sure that your general layout is going to work for what your end aspect ratio will be. So there's a couple of other options here that we won't really go into, but I do want to point out that unlisted versus public. If you have this unlisted, it does not affect the shareability of your embed code or your URL. So these are active by default. You do not have to change your app to public for those to work. So if you do select public and you give it a category of stories, for instance, that makes it show up within the stories category of our public web portal. So that gives it a chance to be featured on our web app portal. So here under stories now, I've clicked share to see our portal, and you can see our app there under stories. I can easily toggle that to make it no longer public by switching it back to unlisted. The portal that we just looked at is restricted to WizCreate developers at the moment. What you have by default with your cloud account are these tabs here. You've got my apps, my data sets, my media, and my account. This share portal here is something that we are working on in development, and at some point will be available to the general public.
Thank you, Amanda. As you've seen, we've built a native app, we've pushed it out to the cloud, and we've shared it through a cloud account. You also have a cloud account. The WizCreate platform comes loaded with a wide range of resources for use with developing your apps. It's got thousands of images and sounds and videos and even data sets that you can incorporate into your apps. To view or navigate these resources, you can go to My App section and click on the media library, My Media. There you'll get the built-in media library. There's also a great deal of learning information that you can access from the Learn section. There's guided tutorials, there's videos, there's interactive step-by-step tutorials, and there's a comprehensive user guide. Feel free to dive in and learn.
So signing up for a cloud account, this is what comes with it. We walked through this a second ago with the app that Awele pushed from native to HTML. But you get the ability to edit these things, connect outside data, and share with anyone via URL or embed code. So thanks for watching the WizCreate orientation. Try making your own apps and pushing them to the cloud, and take a look around your portal. If you do have any questions or need any assistance, check out the forum and other help resources throughout the app and our website. We're going to be putting together courses to take you from start to finish, making basic apps to even more advanced apps, introducing things with the data-driven aspect and things like that we looked at today. So make sure you're subscribed to our mailing list, or stay subscribed so that you're keeping up to date on all things WizCreate, and you can get alerts when things like that become available. If you're not already subscribed to our mailing list, go to wizcreate.com and you can sign up for our newsletter there. So with that, thank you from the team at WizCreate, and happy app making.